Leave that thing alone. We're wearing sweatpants in public because this is a podcast about Rush. Every episode, we get together and talk about one album from the catalog of these wonderful Canadian men. All right, so thanks for tuning in to Leave That Thing Alone. I'm J.W. Friedman.
I'm Chris Collision.
And we have a guest this week all the way from Houston, Texas. It's the one and only Tim Faust.
Hey, how y'all doing?
That's awesome. You have to talk like that through the whole episode now.
Yeah. It just kind of comes out. I'm actually, I'm in Brooklyn right now, but the Texas never leaves a person.
Okay, well, that's cooler. Just pretend I said Brooklyn instead at the beginning.
Yeah.
then your accent is even more original and unique. You're,
That's right.
You're like the guy from The Real World that wore the cowboy hat and the Hulkamania shirt to the beach.
He's one of the greatest American heroes ever to appear on TV.
Yeah, it's him and Puck for president in 2020.
I wish that didn't seem as possible as it does right now.
Or as desirable an option, all things considered.
So, as you may know, Leave That Thing Alone, we talk about a Rush album every episode. And this time around, we're here to discuss 2112.
2112. Everybody's favorite Rush album.
So, before we start doing our track-by-track breakdown, I just wanted to get kind of everyone's kind of overall opinions, their history with this record, stuff like that. And why don't you kick us off, Tim?
Okay, awesome. So I grew up in rural Wisconsin, and I spent most of my time hanging out in barns with townies, listening to metal. And so Rush was always on the periphery, right? They were a band that's on the radio. I'm a little younger than y'all, so this is the late '90s, early 2000s. Rush was always a thing that was around. I knew Spirit of Radio, I knew everything in moving pictures, but it never really hit home until one day, about 5 years ago, a friend said, "Get your life together, listen to 2112." So he sat me down, played 2112, and I was just blown away.
Was this? Sorry, just I need a little color. Was this friend actually wearing wizard robes? Did he vanish into a puff of smoke as the needle hit the groove?
I mean, there was a lot of smoke filling the room. So yeah. Basically, the entire world disappeared in a puff of smoke, and for 20 minutes and 23 seconds, followed by the B-side, I was just transported to an extremely dumb science fantasy reality that I haven't really left since. I think Rush is. I love Geddy Lee's Anxiety Attack. Bird of Prey vocals. I think he's fantastic. I agree that Neil Peart is one of the greatest drummers of all time. I think Alex Lifeson is underrated. It always shows up with the right sound at the right time. But more so than a Rush fan, I'm a 2112 fan. I was driving up to Vermont last weekend, or 2 weeks ago, for Christmas stuff with my girlfriend. And, it's like a 4-hour drive, which means you can listen to 2112 12 times. I think it was by the third or fourth. I'm singing along. I get really into it. There are 8 or 9 points. I think I'll share them as we get them into the album, where I just go, uncontrollably. Yep. I'm biting my lip. This album's got it.
Yeah, it does.
I can't get sick of it. It does so many things so well. The theatricality is just so impressive. It's self-evident. As you guys said before, I think in the first episode, Rush is willing to laugh at themselves. This is a pretty silly thing, and it rules. It rules so hard. And yeah, I'm every now and a lot of my experience with Rush fans is, I'll be at a bar and then a 55-year-old or 60-year-old guy will come push me "Hey man, you gotta listen to Rush. These kids today don't listen to music." I love Rush. I'm with you, dude. That's my primary Rush interaction, and I'm already doing that. I'm already I'm 28, and probably once a month I corner a friend at a bar, "Hey man, I'm just." I know. I listened to Rush recently. Just it takes over. I'm becoming that person. I'm becoming my best self. And I owe it all to these three beautiful Canadian
This
boys.
makes me so happy because, as I've said often on our other podcast, and probably said it at least twice on this podcast, and I may tell this story every fucking episode on this podcast. Don't at me. I'm really glad to see the tradition of older men seeing a younger man with long hair and bothering them about Rush in public is still a thing, because that was like very much my introduction to Rush too.
Oh yeah,
Being a younger guy in a jean jacket with like bad hair and acne on the bus in Denver and its suburbs, getting harassed by short order cooks wanting to talk to me about Tom fucking Sawyer.
Yeah.
Nice. For me, this was my favorite Rush album for sure. I think it still is one of them. Although, as I've aged and become more mature and, let's say, introspective, I find the later work of Rush has a pull for me that it never did prior. But also, I just really like synthesizers. But for me, I think this was one of my favorites back in the day. I think it's the most entertaining listen of any of the records we talked about so far on the show, for sure. It's maybe not quite as great as I had remembered, but it has a ton of amazing moments on it. And I liked it a lot. I also think it's worth noting that there are probably few records in the rock canon that have had more of just kind of a big impact on pop culture. And that, like, I was thinking about this last night, and like, if you can think of a nerd thing that you like, there's a very good chance there's a reference to 2112 somewhere in it. So I think that's, I mean, you know, I say that in a jokey way, but it's an important record in a lot of ways.
No,
Sorry.
go ahead.
2112 does a lot of what's like, you know, Rogue One just came out. I went to go watch it. I got excited about Star Wars. 2112 does a kind of a similar thing. It builds a big, dumb, aspirational, grandiose, melodramatic sci-fi universe. Kind of builds its own sci-fi canon. It's like not too complex that you can't get it because there's not too much to get. And then it just plays with it really hard and goes home. It rules. It kicks you on that adrenaline rush and then lets you off pretty easy.
Man, that sound you hear is both of us restraining ourselves from making the adrenaline rush pun.
Oh man, that was natural. I'm feeling the Starman.
This is really interesting because my relationship with this is very, very different. I really liked Rush from a pretty young age, but never listened to this record. It was just sort of there, and you knew it was important, and it kind of loomed large in, you know, indoor kid culture.
Yes, that's a great way to put it, too.
You know, so you knew the cover, and we were talking about this a little bit before the show. To me, one thing you knew about 2112 is that it was a concept album about a world where there was no rock and roll. And I just knew this. I knew this like Day Follows Night. I knew this like 2 and 2 is 4. And then about 45 days ago, for the first time, I sat down to listen to 2112 and was stunningly surprised to discover two things. One, this record doesn't rock all that hard by my jaded standards. And two, this is not a concept album. This thing that we think of as 2112 is really side A, and
That's
then there's
true.
side B that's just sort of some Rush songs.
Yeah.
So I was really wrong-footed by that. And like I said, I'd never listened to this record until like 2 months ago, and I've really only listened to it probably under half a dozen times total. And I have to say that not encountering it when I literally had some graph paper and some 20-sided dice in my hand, I think might color my lack of appreciation for it, which we'll get to.
I mentioned on the last episode my book of Rush sheet music. And I think that was how I fell in love with 2112, really, is that like these songs were really fun to play. And yeah, so from there I just kind of realized like, oh, I actually think this is neat the way it's like telling a story. And I don't know, we'll get into it as we go through, but I think that this is really kind of the sublimation of what they were trying to do on Caress of Steel twice and failing miserably. And that like I really do feel like this is, it feels like a suite. There are musical themes that repeat in different contexts like throughout it, and it really does feel like more of a unified piece of music than either The Fountain or The Necromancer.
Yeah, they got friggin' leitmotifs in 2112.
Yep.
which is fantastic. And to Collision's point, yeah, like if Caress of Steel is a bunch of Rush songs and then 2 concept pieces, 2112 is one big concept piece and then some other stuff. And like the other stuff's fine. Like Bangkok's a fine song. Lessons.
We're gonna have a talk about that later on, my friend.
Like I don't love it. I think the whole like I think it's a pretty dumb song, and it's a really weird, like, it's not like a good hangover to 2112, but like the sound's all right sometimes.
Yeah.
But like the B-side generally is like mediocre. Like if they were somewhere else, I'd say, oh, this is cool. This is better than anything on Caress of Steel.
True.
But like 2112 is just the A-side. The B-side's there because like all objects must have 2 sides.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like...
It could have been a great picture disc.
I think most people who think of 2112, when they talk about 2112, unless they've listened to it very recently, are probably remembering this one song as the entire record. Because that's definitely how I thought of it. Like, I totally forgot every single song on side B even existed except for Something for Nothing. Like, but yeah...
A Passage to Bangkok is just like a cue to hit the rewind button twice. That's kind of the point of that song. It's like, oh no, go back to the overture.
So I don't know. You think we should roll on into some tracks here?
I'm definitely ready.
Okay. Let's kick things off. Before we get started, I wanted to let both of you know I found an ancient miracle last night. I made a discovery. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I went on the internet and I was Googling the lyrics for this song, and I discovered that in the album art for the original 2112, the record only, I guess it didn't make it onto the CD version. In the lyrics, there's a bunch of extended narrative about 2112, so I'm going to make sure to share this with everyone as we go. So be prepared to hear this world fleshed out in a way you've never heard before. Come with me to a world of imagination, and we'll begin here with 2112 Overture. All right, we just listened to Overture. This is what the liner notes say about Overture. I lie awake, staring out at the bleakness of Megadon. City and sky become one, merging into a single plane, a vast sea of unbroken gray. The twin moons, just 2 pale orbs as they trace their way across the steely sky. I used to think I had a pretty good life here, just plugging into my machine for the day, then watching Temple Vision, or reading a Temple paper in the evening. My friend John always said it was nicer here than under the atmospheric domes of the outer planets. We've had peace since 2062 when the surviving planets were banded together under the red star of the Solar Federation. The less fortunate gave us a few new moons. I believed what I was told. I thought it was a good life. I thought I was happy. Then I found something that changed it all.
Wow. I want to say just 2 very quick things about this. Number 1, this is the intro to every story in every issue of Heavy Metal magazine I've ever seen. And it's awesome. And 2, Neil Peart, or whoever wrote this, is so much better a writer than Kevin Anderson, who actually got charged with novelizing a much later Rush album.
Yeah, it's more enjoyable to read than his attempts.
Well, and it's like relatable.
Yeah.
It sets the scene really fast without any like fucking around.
I have to say, Temple Vision and Temple Vapor is a little ham-fisted for sure. It's a bit on the nose.
I assume
there's
Neil
nothing
Peart
subtle in this entire album. This is
true.
This is not a subtle album. That's why it's great. They don't care.
I think this is something, Tim, you just said it much better than I tried to say it last episode. Like, yeah, Rush is not a subtle band. If you like subtlety, you should listen to Yes or something. Rush is just all about this kind of rush of ideas and throwing everything at the wall. And I assume all the Temple stuff is because Neil Peart had just heard of Mormons like that morning.
Probably.
Oh my God.
Probably.
They can't even drink coffee.
So this song, I think is pretty neat. It is, it's a little clumsy for sure, but it's definitely kind of an introduction to the suite, and they do introduce you to a lot of the themes that you're going to hear musically later on. There are a couple parts where it sounds like Alex is trying to sound like a trumpet or an orchestra that are a little questionable.
There's definitely a moment where they're like, oh, we're writing a thing and we're calling it overture. Overtures have horns, right? We should play something that sounds like a horn.
Yeah. But there's also a moment at the end of this, which, I mean, I've heard this song God knows how many times, and I had never really noticed it until we were just listening to it together. There's a part where the guitar kind of clumsily quotes the 1812 overture, like out of time, and it could or could not be intentional, and I had always wondered that. And Tim noticed that there's a canon right afterwards, so it's totally intentional. And like that kind of shit, I have a soft spot for. It's like Copland in fucking Rush form. So I'm down with that. I like that kind of adopting leitmotif from other pieces of music and making it work narratively, but instrumentally. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, because not to skip ahead, like that 1812 reference in the explosion happens, at the end of the overture. So, and at the end of the album, there's a big war and like something blows up, and then the old race comes back to take control of the earth or whatever. Like it's cool. Like it's a pretty it's a very non-subtle way of foreshadowing the entire album by saying, here are the sounds you will hear. Here they are in order. Here's an explosion, and it fucking rules. I'm super here for non-subtle overture.
I just wanted to speak to what both of you have just said about them not being subtle and not caring about subtlety. I think it's so awesome, and it's really like just now kind of crystallized in my mind. I think why I was always so attracted to Rush is that they're instrumentally super technically proficient.
And they're very handsome.
Yes. And also, I wanted to fuck them. But no, like technically they're super proficient, but most bands that are, that technically proficient, they get really bogged down in kind of, meandering around, showing you how good they are and stuff. They're not necessarily worried about creating something that stands up against a jazz album or whatever or anything like that. They just want to rock, but also challenge themselves.
Right.
And I really like that. Like, there's something very kind of almost populist about the way they approach prog rock that I really dig.
I think it's almost, I would say, more DIY than populist. It's a band that's like completely unafraid to say yes to themselves.
Yeah, totally.
And sometimes that can be kind of off-putting, because sometimes what that means is I think I've said this before, I think sometimes Rush mistakes doing something for doing something good.
That's fair.
And
they definitely choose sins of commission over sins of omission.
Definitely. And like what I particularly gravitate towards musically is I like a band that makes a virtue of repetition. I like a band to drill down, figure out what the coolest possible thing they can play is, and then play it for roughly 40 minutes. So when Rush is like, well, we've got this idea that we played for 22 seconds, and then we followed it with this idea that we've got for 45 seconds, and then we followed it with this idea that we play for 90 seconds, that's not always very satisfying to me. I think 2012 is actually one of the better examples of it being satisfying, because they compress the whole, 20-minute song into this 4 or 5 minute overture. Give you a taste of all the parts, and then come back to each of them and kind of repeat them, delve into them a little bit more. And I do definitely dig that approach.
There are a couple production missteps here, I feel like, that get rectified when we get to the next time you hear each theme. But there was something you brought up that you really don't like, is there's this riff that I can't even think of how to describe it. It's really driving. It's the one that goes da 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 da. And I love that riff. I know, Tim, you were saying you love it too. I guess what really jumped out to you was the 12-string acoustic guitar underneath it.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree that that's an odd choice, because it's a very kind of heavy part of the song, and that does kind of jump out.
Although it's probably makes sense, because I one of the things that I think Rush tried really hard to do was think about what it was going to be like to have to listen to this all the way through. So if this were just a power trio playing all these notes on their 3 instruments with no, pedals, with no production flourishes or anything, it would get pretty fucking wearying. So, like, I guess I like the sonic break that it gives you, but, like, I hear acoustic guitars on a Rush album, and I just think, did you guys all collectively forget what you're good at?
Well, I mean, I kind of thought it was like a weird, like, foreshadowing. Like, I think there is some, like, acoustic guitar in this album, right? Like in the...
Oh, yeah, there's a lot, yeah.
Discovery and Oracle. So I thought it was a way of working that in. But it does sound weird without any context of the later album, which, in theory, you don't have. It's the beginning of the album. But yeah, it is kind of a weird jangle. I kind of dig it, but it doesn't really fit with the rest of the overture for sure.
I think it kind of just speaks to... This is actually, out of all of the Rush stuff we've talked about so far, probably my least favorite recording as far as the sound of the band.
Oh.
And I think a lot of it just sounds a little overworked. There's a lot more just kind of random overdubs of stuff than there normally would be, and it's a very thin sounding record. And I think the jangly guitars maybe are even a little bit more noticeable because it's such a trebly, high mid kind of album. The tom sound on this, in particular, every time Neil rolls down the toms, it sounds like one of those kids that plays mud buckets. Not feeling it. But I mean, the songs are great. It's not my favorite recording for sure.
There was a remaster that came out like 4 years ago. Is that any better?
That's the one I listened to, actually, because that's the one that was available on the streaming service I use. And maybe the original was maybe a little beefier. I don't know. There's been 8 different mixes of this, including there's a surround sound mix and a bunch of weird shit like that. How stoned do you want to get?
We'll get to this later, but there's probably a quad mix as well. It's worth noting that what immediately follows the jangly part that annoyed me was the first of Tim's moments.
It's like at 305 to 310, somewhere in there. It's Alex Lifeson comes in. I don't know anything about guitar sounds or what's clean, what's dirty. I listen to a lot of metal and noise, so my idea of what's a clean guitar sound is probably super incorrect. But it's this big soaring chord that he holds for about a second and a half, and it goes into other stuff. And it rules. It rules so hard. It's a great transition, like a thing this album gets very, very right. That when you hear a concept album about sci-fi, you think, okay, maybe they'll do a stage play at some point. Terrible idea. Because what you can do, for a couple of reasons, but what you can do with a record that you can't do on stage or anywhere else is change the scene or transition extremely fast. Right. You just change, you stomp on a pedal, change the time signature. Here it goes into halftime. And all of a sudden, bam, you're in a brand new place, right. Which you can't do anywhere else. And when that kicks in here, I've heard that probably over 100 times, and every single time I can't not go, oh, it's so good.
Yeah, you were going, oh, here it comes, leading up to it and stuff.
Just as a side note, Tim, put this in your day planner. Someday you and I are going to do exactly 2 things. One, sit through Heavy Metal, the animated feature, and 2, mount a stage production of Voivod's Dimension Hatros.
Oh, wow. I used to get Voivod and the Voidoids confused all the time, and those are 2 very different groups.
They are probably my 2 favorite bands, beginning with VO.
I was trying to think of other V
Although
bands.
Void is good.
Yeah, Void is good. Volta Del Mar was awesome as well. They're an instrumental group from Chicago, not to be confused with the Mars Volta.
Oh, shit. I thought you were just making a Mars Volta
Volta
joke.
Del Mar. They had a song called Breaking Ribs for Timmy Thatcher. That's amazing. And yeah, I don't know. They're one of those math rock instrumental bands from the mid-2000s when everyone was doing that. But they're really good. Anyway, back to Rush. Let's talk about Temple of Syrinx. The massive gray walls of the temples rise from the heart of every Federation city. I have always been awed by them, to think that every single facet of every life is regulated and directed from within. Our books, our music, our work and play are all looked after by the benevolent wisdom of the priests.
Message for you, sir.
Totally. And that dog really does look like Geddy Lee also. So I think there's an elephant in the room here, and it's Geddy Lee shrieking, because my first note for this song is, oh God, the shrieking. And I remember I really love this album. I still do so far, but I think as a kid maybe I just had a much higher tolerance for the harrowing wails of grown men.
I'm gonna offer a counterpoint. So like
Okay.
the priests of, like, you know, like in this 2112 fantasy world, right? Like everything's controlled by this quasi-fascist, like Priests of Syrinx. They're in all the different cities. They've got like the Priest Center or whatever. They're like an unhuman evil force. They're intimidating. They're scary. They're bad. And I think that having Geddy sing super out of his range and really fuck with the way that it's layered makes it sound shrill, and like this isn't like a pleasant sound. And you hear later in the album that Geddy can sing nice and kind of knows what space to sing in. For the first time he's figured it out. Like, thank God. 'Cause it's,
Whoa. Have you not heard Fly By Night, friend? Start a new chapter. That's some subtle work.
yeah. But I think that tendency of Geddy Lee to just
To Robert
presume,
Plant it up?
Yeah, to get like fucking throat polyps. Works here, right? Because he's creating a bad guy. He's creating an unpleasant sound to tell you that these guys are bad. And later on, that's contrast I think is great there. But I don't know. I'm down with that because it's limited. It comes in at a pretty cool time in the album, and it creates the idea across that these are bad guys.
I think that's fair. You've changed my mind about this. I think it's safe to say that the Priests of Syrinx, or the Priests of the Temple of Syrinx, have no chill.
Yep.
And that's something that, in general, Bad Rush kind of exemplifies. But this is Bad Rush, or this is Rush using that bad tendency to their advantage, right? It's anxious, it's oppressive, but it's deliberately anxious and oppressive.
So did this song, and feel free to laugh at me here because I know you're going to want to, but did this feel kind of like proto-punk to anyone else? Because like the riff and not so much the vocals, but the riff is very kind of bar chordy. It's really aggressive. It's faster than a lot of Rush stuff. And given the time it came out, I don't know. I really feel like in a lot of ways, this is surprisingly kind of punkish for a Rush song.
I can get with that. There's a part towards the end of Temple of Syrinx, and I lack the vocabulary to describe music, but you have like a really high kind of like bwamp, bwamp that happens at like I think like 4 and 1, which I don't know. I feel like I've heard that like in Dead Kennedys records or whatever. There's a riff with like a punctuated thing that sounds like a lot of like punk records I heard that came out 3 years later.
Yeah, it has this rhythm of the guitar, and they're kind of all hammering the rhythms like dun 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 dun, and it totally to me sounds like it could be like a Subhuman song or something like that. I don't know. I might just be stretching to make Rush match with things I like. I don't know.
To me, it sounds a little more proto power metal than riffing on punk and.
Everything about 2112 is proto power metal. This is the first power metal album. As far maybe it came out earlier, but like this is. Like power metal is like songs about wizards, right? That's mainly how I describe. Like if there's a wizard at all referenced anywhere in the album, it's power metal, like Blind Guardian, Iced Earth, whatever. And 2112, despite being wizardless, 100% is about wizards.
A third thing that you need to put in your day planner is someday I'm going to prove to you using charts and records that Blue Oyster Cult is actually the secret influence on power metal.
All right,
but that's a side thing. And yeah, this is definitely the gallop is an important part of power metal, as is the sweet victory part.
Yeah,
which is kind of the soaring bit that made you go ugh in the last bit.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Absolutely.
Put those two things together and you've got like a great recipe for power metal, even without wizards. Because like Iced Earth, who are a great power metal band, did an entire album about the Civil War. Not a wizard to be found. Well, maybe some grand wizards.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, you're right. That makes me. I am a sucker for like hyper sentimentality with like spectacle, right? Like I love very loud spectacle that's very sentimental. And yeah, power metal has that. Rush plays with that pretty fluently. I'm down with that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I really want to be able to trace a lineage from like Gorilla Biscuits to Rush, so I'm reaching really hard to make it happen.
Boy, I that's tough. I can't quite get there. I will quote a music writer I dislike enough that I'm not even going to name him. The way it sounds punk to at least him or maybe me is, well, it sounds like a Led Zeppelin riff played slightly slower. So that's punk.
I don't know. I think I'm going to continue to disagree and hold my opinion. But let's move on to part 3, Discovery.
What can this strange device be? When I touch it, it gives forth a sound. It's got wires that vibrate and give music. What can this thing be that I've found?
Oh good, a babbling brook sound effect, while Alex literally tunes his guitar on tape.
It's a King's Quest monologue.
Yeah. Oh yeah, speaking of monologue. Behind my beloved waterfall, in the little room that was hidden behind the cave, I found it. I brushed away the dust of the years and picked it up, holding it reverently in my hands. I had no idea what it might be, but it was beautiful. I learned to lay my fingers across the wires and to turn the keys to make them sound differently. As I struck the wires with my other hand, I produced my first harmonious sounds and soon my own music. How different it could be from the music of the temples. I can't wait to tell the priests about it.
What?
So yeah, in this piece, our hero finds a guitar in a cave behind the waterfall, and remember, rock and roll is illegal.
yeah. It's one of the best pretenses for any kind. If you just say rock and roll is illegal, you have already built a universe. In the universe, there are no rules. You can be as cheesy as you want to be. It's great.
I mean, it's become a huge cliche in the world of concept albums, but I want to say that I think this is probably the first time I heard it in a rock song context. Was in 2112. So I feel like all the Deltrons and whatnot that came later were leaning pretty heavily on Rush. Although, just to kind of say, to be fair, it's not exactly a unique story within the world of science fiction by any means.
This song plays with something. I'm trying to figure out how to articulate it. There's this really dumb romantic fantasy in a lot of rock music that I love, that like a person playing rock so good that they mean so sincerely can change the world. And I love that. Like it's a very dumb but harmless and wonderful construct for a large fantasy. And here they're laying those roots real deep. Like this guy finds the guitar and like, man, like I think I can change the world. He's going through the process of being like 12 years old and forming in my case, a Blink-182 cover band with like your other 12-year-old friends, and going, yeah, one day this could mean something.
One day this cover of "Damn It" is going to change the world.
Yeah. Well, he's going through like the full like I don't know, like there's a certain way of really really liking, independent of taste or goodness, like rock music as like a young adolescent, and like feeling the sense of adventure of like, oh man, here's a thing that like is big and explosive and you can explore it. And he's trying to do that entirely in 3 minutes. It just doesn't do a great job because like he has to like learn how to play complex guitar riffs in about 45 seconds. But like, I get it. I get that kind of raw sentiment. Like I can appreciate that. I think it was fun. It's a youthful appreciation of the idea that rock can change the world, which I think is used pretty well here.
Yeah, and formally, what I like that it does is if you accept that one man or one band playing super sincerely and super loudly can change the world, what that sets you up for is a giant crescendo moment, which is it's what I usually call the sweet victory part. And that can be an incredibly satisfying listening experience. So it works both sentimentally and then the formal elements like really support it. What really frustrates me in this part, although it's better than I remembered, honestly, What really frustrates me in this part is I just feel like Led Zeppelin did heavy music so much damage by introducing the idea that playing acoustically was a good idea.
Yeah, I've never liked acoustic guitar in rock songs either.
This part in general, like, while it serves the story and it has a nice little progression as you like kind of listen to Alex learn how to play guitar in real time, which goes from I hit a thing to I figure out what the pegs are for to I'm whipping out beautiful harmonics in about 15 seconds. What it really sounds like, unfortunately, is like your Blink-182 cover band trying to do Going to California or the early parts of Stairway to Heaven.
Excuse me, guys. We need to talk about Geddy's voice in this song.
Oh, I think it's great. I think this is actually a good example of like Geddy figuring out how to sing quietly but still like Geddy Lee.
Oof. See, I disagree so much. Like I think actually even later on in the next two parts he does a better job of that, or not, I mean in Oracle and Soliloquy. In this he sounds like he's very, very vulnerable, and it doesn't feel like an affectation as much as he's not confident at all in the notes that are coming out of his voice when he's not hollering. It sounds twee, but in an unintentional way, I feel like. I don't know. I didn't like it.
It's definitely not my favorite December song. I will give you that.
Yeah.
My favorite December song is The Legionnaire's Lament.
Is that the one with the accordion? Haha, I kid. Oh! Sorry. I know how to play that song on the accordion. I'm a horrible human being. Tim, what were you saying?
I agree with Jay on this one. Like, I think later in this album, Geddy does the same kind of thing, but much better. Still, though, like this is this is Rivendell, but 10 times better.
I like it. I like this piece a lot. I know Collision does not. I find it
better
enjoyable.
Than fucking Rivendell.
I think this in like the overall structure of 2112, this piece serves its purpose very, very well, right? Because what comes up next, I don't want to spoil it for any listeners, but like up next, bam, we're back at it. We're the Priests of Syrinx, at the Temple of Syrinx, right? And having like this like weird, quiet lull in the middle that's very vulnerable is a very nice juxtaposition. And in fact, the transition to the next song like hammers that home, right? Because you've got Geddy and Alex, who are both the same person, hanging out in a waterfall cave learning guitar. And then all of a sudden, like bam, like the harsh reality of this shrill, scary bad guy trio. Because in my mind, the priests are three. That's just how it seems like it would work.
For sure. Why not?
Obviously, it's
that's your headcanon.
There's a tall guy in the front, two short. It's fine. It's JCS. It's the JCS priests. Jesus Christ Superstar. But like it's a good leverage point. I don't know. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think this transition also qualified it as official Tim Faust moment.
Yep, absolutely. It's at the very end of Discovery. And then one more thing, kind of what I was saying earlier. There's an essay that I think, Jay, you linked to maybe like 5 years ago by one of the two guys in half Japanese.
The How to Play Guitar.
How to Play Guitar, right?
Yeah, and David Fair, yeah.
The final line is that like it's not about getting the notes right, it's about taking a guitar in one hand, picking the other, and with one small motion changing the world. Which is like a pretty, it's that idea. It's that same idea that like by making a huge noise with an instrument, you can create meaning. And it's kind of fun watching Rush kind of do the same thing a little bit worse, but like have like a character kind of going through that same process.
I think that's fair, but I think that also is like my biggest stumbling block with this whole record, and the reason that at the end of the day, I don't actually like it.
Because you're too cynical to love?
Because, like, when is Rush at their worst? Rush is at their worst when they're taking themselves seriously. This is what really sunk Caress of Steel, right? You've got this band, like, really trying to do stuff and, like, kind of being unchill and a little self-serious about it. And what you've got on this record is, instead of writing like Hobbit self-insert Hobbit fanfic, what they've written is actually Rush insert fanfic. Because what you have is, if you find an acoustic guitar and commit yourself to the power of music, then what you can sound like is Rush at their best.
Oh my God, you're right. This is Rush fanfic written by Rush.
Yeah, and it's just like that's what is sour for me, and that's
Yeah.
why I don't dig it.
It would have been cool if instead of a guitar, he found like a drum machine, and then suddenly it cut to a Tone Loc song. Let's get into presentation. That's the next tune.
Listen to my music and hear what it can do. There's something here as strong as life. I know that it will reach you. Yes, we know it's nothing new, just a waste of time.
In the sudden silence, as I finished playing, I looked up to a circle of grim, expressionless faces. Father Brown rose to his feet, and his somnolent voice echoed through the silent temple hall. Instead of the grateful joy that I expected, they were words of quiet rejection. Instead of praise, sullen dismissal. I watched in shock and horror as Father Brown ground my precious instrument to splinters beneath his feet.
Fuck, this is the darkest timeline for the poor kid who lived through the lyrics of Summertime Blues.
yeah.
I was thinking Frosty the Snowman. Oh, but that's Parson, isn't it?
But it's like
Yeah.
Father Brown is like, no, son, you gotta work a leg.
Yeah, Father Brown is a weird name to pick. I wonder
it's
if
not
there's
good.
I wonder if there's a historical analog, like maybe some famous Canadian asshole that he's referring to or something.
It can't be. It has to be just like some, he didn't spend that much time on it. But now I'm worried because, like, is the nameless protagonist of 2112 is
Kyle?
his name Gordy? Like, he is Canadian.
Gordy.
Just Gord.
I like this song a lot. It's got an amazing part towards the end of it where it just turns into this chaotic guitar solo, and it sounds like awesome. It's just really intense and cool. This is my favorite part of 2112, personally.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I think it's a really well earned guitar solo, right? Like they've been building up to this point for kind of the entire album so far, right? Like it's the ultimate, it's the tension, the clash between the protagonist and the priest of the Temple of Syrinx, and the protagonist loses, and it's agonizing. And Jay and I were talking off air, like whether this is the protagonist trying to like play the guitar so good the priests change their mind, or whether he's like writhing in agony. It's got that kind of sound, and it carries through, and I fucking love it.
Yeah, it's super good. And I mean, we even had a discussion just now when we were listening, trying to figure out exactly which part of the narrative that guitar solo could signify. And without getting like super deep into it, I feel like that feels like a successful concept album move to me. If you're sitting there having like legitimate discussions about what story beat does this piece of music symbolize, somebody's doing their job right.
Right. Oh yeah, totally.
Can I make an admission that will almost certainly invalidate everything I say about Rush forever?
Sure.
Listening with you guys and kind of chatting over it was the first time I'd ever listened to this part, paying enough attention to understand that it's alternating between Gord, our protagonist, and the priests.
Yeah.
Like, I have never listened to this song attentively enough to like get that kind of basic rock opera staple of one guy playing two parts at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a limitation of Geddy, right? Like, we're not exactly dealing with Quadrophenia or Tommy here. We don't have a Roger Daltrey quality voice with some versatility.
Yeah, he's not a chameleon by any means. Like, Geddy Lee has one setting, and yeah, he's not exactly like a character actor vocalist for sure.
Right.
But as you guys both pointed out while we were listening, there's some like really cool little production tricks that kind of make up for that, right? The way he's presented as the priest, he's kind of double tracked, right? Which fits in really well with Tim's I see there being three priests, like the three guys from Rush theory. Like I dig it. Like, it's really actually well handled, I think.
Yeah, it makes them like a big intimidating force, and then you have the vulnerability of like the like acoustic type guitar, and then Geddy being much more assertive and but like still like a solo singer, kind of vulnerable, lower in his register. It's cool. I don't know. It's an effect that I really get into.
And Jay, you really liked the parts in this where kind of the rest of the band lays back a little bit and Geddy gets to like play some very Geddy Lee style melodic bass.
Oh yeah, this song has I think, kind of some of the first stirrings of what would eventually become my favorite part of Rush, which is kind of a quietly virtuosic bass playing. Like, the early stuff, he definitely had a lot of fancy lines, but they would jump out in front of everything. Like, I compare Geddy's playing style a lot to a hyper-technical Paul McCartney, and people laugh at me, but I feel like there's a really similar approach at work where he's really into kind of outlining chords, playing stuff that's very melodic. He just happens to do some pretty fast, complicated shit as well. But I think that this is one of the first times on record where you can kind of hear him both playing to the song, but doing so in a really interesting way with a lot of cool flourishes. Like, he's kind of learning how to be a quote unquote a pocket player at the same time as being a virtuoso, and I think it's awesome. Which
makes him the second best pocket player in the band, usually behind Alex, who's just there for the song. Neil actually is underratedly good at letting him come to the song, letting himself come to the song, but definitely gets a little carried away. But in this segment particularly, he's very, very good, where when the builds to the big rocky part happens, there's no flashy distraction. It's just, I'm hitting really hard and building to the rocky part. It's really good.
Yeah, it's pure crescendo, which even like later in Rush's catalog, you'll see him moving away from this a lot more, where there are transitions that should be very powerful that are kind of stepped on a little bit by like, and he doesn't do that here. He's very much like, you know, I mean, he's still being Neil in a lot of places, but when he needs to provide kind of the engine for a big transition, he's doing so in a really workmanlike way that is surprisingly, what's the word I'm looking for? Not obnoxious.
all three boys are sublimating themselves to support the song. It's a good act of narrative teamwork. I'm really into it.
Okay. Let's move on. We've got a lot to talk about still, so let's get on in here to Oracle, the Dream.
I stand at top of spiral stair, and Oracle confronts me there. He leads me on light years away through astral nights, galactic days. I see the works of gifted hands that grace the strange.
All right, here's some more notes from the Rush liners. I guess it was a dream, but even now it all seems so vivid to me. Clearly yet I see the beckoning hand of the Oracle as he stood at the summit of the staircase. I still see the incredible beauty of the sculptured cities and pure spirit of a man revealed in the lives and works of this world. I was overwhelmed by both wonder and understanding as I saw a completely different way to life, a way that had been crushed by the Federation long ago. I saw now how meaningless life had become with the loss of all these things.
Holy fucking shit. You just read The Matrix.
Oh my God.
Like, the entire movie series The Matrix boils down to a blurb explaining a 3.5 minute moment of a Rush lyric or of a Rush song.
So yeah, basically, from the narrative perspective, this is the song where our hero falls asleep, is visited by an oracle who shows him how life was before the Solar Federation made everything hella boring.
And from a sonic perspective, this is the part where Rush just does side 4 of Quadrophenia in 3 minutes.
You're fucking right.
Like, but basically note for note, fill for fill.
I don't even care, though, because it's awesome. It's so good. The part before it and this part are the highlights of 2112 for me. I really like, I guess, kind of the anthem rock element in a lot of ways. Not to, when you're talking about Rush, anytime you say anthem rock, you're treading on punny ground. But I liked it. I thought it's high energy and triumphant in a way that I enjoy.
Well, this is the victory chorus that Collision was talking about earlier. As far as this character's life goes, this is the high point. He's having an extremely cool dream.
Yeah, because spoiler, he's about to die.
Oh, that's so depressing.
No, it's really, really good. And, I mean, much like in the last song, I think that when Getty is in his high register here, he's easy to listen to. And I wish I could put my finger on exactly what differentiates this from Temple, because it's not necessarily any lower in pitch. They're both in the same high register. He's just so much easier to listen to.
Oh, it's like more of like a throat voice than like a head voice, right? It's like less nasally. He's
That's
supporting
exactly
with
what I
diaphragm.
was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say, is like halfway through recording this record, he discovered his fucking diaphragm.
That sounds about right, because, Syrinx is so...
I mean, it was the mid-'70s.
Yeah, that's true. Lots of people discovering diaphragms at key parties.
I don't think Rush was going to very many key parties.
No, probably not, unless you mean like a key of Coke. Yo.
Whoa.
All right.
Come on now.
Yeah, these guys probably didn't do that either.
No, I think these guys were going to... You have found the key. Do you want to use key on door?
Go north.
Yeah.
Look, mailbox.
It's I was talking yesterday with some friends about like how it's cool how like the highest profile celebrity who loves to play D&D is Vin Diesel. 40 years ago it was Rush. We've gone from Getty to Vin. That's a pretty cool transition. Way to go, nerds! You done it.
I'm going to be honest. I would sit in on that game.
Oh, I would pay like $5 to $7 to like sit in on that game. I would bring my own beer. I would watch Getty roll d20s and get confused about the rules every now and again. Absolutely.
I want Stuart from the Flophouse to DM, because I've listened to some side episodes of theirs. He is a very good game master who really kind of puts people in a position to have a good time. And I think everybody would really enjoy that. So if you have those three people's phone numbers, please at me.
I want to breakdance with Vin Diesel too, so we can just do all that in one go.
I want to do push-ups with Vin Diesel. I'm sure he can do many more push-ups than me, but nevertheless, I'm there. I'm down.
I just came very close to unintentionally referencing a Viva Variety sketch, but we'll just move on. Someone in the audience will know.
I never had such a ball as breakdancing in a mall. I want to breakdance with you.
The Oracle tells us perhaps it's time to move forward.
Yeah, so let's go on here to the hugest bummer, Soliloquy.
The sleep is still in my eyes. The dream is still in my head. I heave a sigh and sadly smile and lie a while in bed. I wish that it might come to pass, not fade like all my dreams. Just think of what my life might be in a world like IMC.
I have not left this cave for days now. It has become my last refuge in my total despair. I have only the music of the waterfall to comfort me now. I can no longer live under the control of the Federation, but there is no other place to go. My last hope is what with my death I may pass into the world of my dream and know peace at last. I don't know what that voice was, but
I'm hurt that you would read this incredibly moving moment in such a goofy voice.
gotta be real, dude. I'm not incredibly moved by a guy who kills himself because he can't play guitar.
Yeah, it's not.
You and I part ways here, Fred.
It seems a little extreme to me.
It's not super well considered, Getty. Or Gord, rather.
If I can just try to ground this, I need you guys to let me be who I am. And I need you to let me kick out the jams.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah, definitely.
You two are the Federation.
I just want to rock and roll all day, and
I'm a naked guy holding my hands in a weird way on a pentagram.
oh, we're gonna get to this later. There's a lot behind that logo there. So we'll talk about this more later. But for now, I just wanted to say Once again, I found Geddy's vocals on this to be very enjoyable, even the shrieky parts. Like, I don't know why they didn't just go back and do new takes of the first 3 pieces of this after he figured out how to sing. Because, like, I don't... No, I'm just being mean now. But I really enjoyed the way he was singing here a lot. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of the last real piece before we get into the grand finale, which is kind of a restatement of themes. But once again, fucking Alex is going off with some incredible fucking guitar playing. Like,
so good.
I'm not a guitar solo guy, and this record already has had probably 3 solos that I've commented on out of context. Just like, that is a great guitar solo. So kudos, fellas.
And they're all, it's like, it's hard to find a tasteful guitar solo. Like, these things don't usually, I think, like, tasteful and, like, fucking sick riff don't usually go together. But, like,
Yeah.
every time that Lifeson takes a solo in this record, it's in support of a thematic element of the story, right? He's showing something off that kind of, like, everybody is working in service of, like, the story that they're trying to tell, which is, like, a cool thing to do in a concept album. And here, like, that's a fucking mournful solo. The dude's having a real rough time. Gord is crying in a cave. And like that solo like gets that across. I don't know, like maybe I'm just like a overly sympathetic or overly empathetic to like plots that I'm told to like listen to and appreciate by a liner note. But it works. It works super good. I want it to work, and it works great. I don't know. It's a super like sentimental, spectacular piece of guitar playing, and I fucking love it. And then at the very end, Geddy's "My Lifeblood Bleeds Over." Those 4 words take he manages to find, I think, like 16 or 17 syllables across those 4 words, and each one does something different, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think honestly that one line and the way it's delivered is probably one of the highlights of the entire record. Let's play that right here. I'll edit that in later.
It's the most nuanced I've ever heard Geddy Lee. Like, you know, we've talked about before. Like, Rush is not like a very nuanced band. They're not very subtle, and that's great. Sorry, not subtle. They're like very proficient. Like their actual like instrumentation, the way that they play, and the work that they do is like very like technical. And there's like a lot of complex work going there. But like that's the first time that I think Geddy's vocals have done so much with so little. There's like a lot that went into that. I don't know. I'm proud of him. You know, which is like a weird feeling to have about a dude who's much older than I am 40 years ago.
Prince Baitor
Yeah.
is victorious.
It's true.
Or, sorry, the Snow Dog is victorious much, Tim? Doesn't sound like you do. I agree wholeheartedly. This part is pretty great, pretty unobjectionable. The only thing that I have to say is, how surprised are we all that a movement called soliloquy in a Rush suite is not actually a drum solo?
That's a really good point. Yeah. I mean, the name should go with something that has a lot more tom fills.
It really, like, I'm going to assume that that's deliberate and that it's, like, kind of wrong-footing us. But, yeah, even I can't be too harsh on this. This is a really fun part. Like, Alex is amazing at somehow blending the technical thing where all he's doing is bending and holding a note, and yet somehow that equals emotion. And like, it's not that simple. Like, grab a guitar, bend a note, people will not be crying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when he does it in this moment, it's really remarkable and really fun.
Yeah. I mean, at the risk of getting like a little too technical here, he does a lot of double stop stuff where he'll bend something maybe a step and then push it farther and farther.
Yeah.
So you've got these bends that are kind of gradually going further and further up the scale. It's evocative. It's something that you don't hear a lot of people do. Like, generally you'll hear a bend maybe up to a step and a half. Alex must play with really light strings because he's like going all over the place. It's fucking awesome.
I prefer to think that his Canadian stubby fingers are simply that thick and
Maybe
powerful.
it's that. Maybe he just has incredibly powerful Toronto fingers. Ooh, there's our first shirt design. It could just say Toronto Fingers on it.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, let's move on to grand finale. Okay, that was it. That was the grand finale of Side A.
Wow.
There's definitely a lot to talk about when you're talking 2112. So yeah, this song pretty much exists to kind of reprise a bunch of the pieces you've heard earlier. It does so really well. And there are a lot of familiar themes being revisited in new and more complicated ways. And it's good. I liked it. There's parts of it that are callbacks to 2112, but suddenly it's all based in triplets instead, so it has that really cool kind of feel, and it's awesome. Yeah. I don't know.
It's actually, yeah, it's very satisfying and makes me feel bad for whining about all the parts earlier, because where I was like, I don't know, this seems kind of half-baked and I'm not really enjoying how fast the parts come and go. And then this part happens and it's like, here's all the parts fully developed but kind of quick. We were actually making you wait for this, jackass.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, we are listening to this in chunks when the original listening experience is more like you listen to the 20-minute song,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I think that probably affects it. But
But it's definitely trying to take you on the journey that's like, starts from, I don't know, you guys, to the end when you're just like punching the air and like jumping off your couch doing like Pete Townsend poses, right?
And speaking of, there's some Pete Townsend riffage in here for sure. I have a pretty weird perception of this. I really do enjoy the song, but like when we listened to Finding My Way back on the first episode, I mentioned that it sounded like Won't Get Fooled Again. And, I was willing to write that off as an accident, but there's a part of this song that is Won't Get Fooled Again. Like even the drumming suddenly becomes Keith Moon. And I don't know if they're paying homage or if it's like an accidental.
I think it has to be an homage. If you are three incredible players,
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to make anthemic, like involving emotional rock music, there aren't very many good examples for you at this point. Like,
That's true.
And The Who is one, because you've got this insane drummer, probably the best Keith Moon style drummer who ever lived. You've got
The best and drunkest drummer that ever lived.
yeah, you've got John Entwistle, who can play like anything and usually does, and then you've got like Pete Townsend, who is just somehow a guy who can make really trebly Rickenbacker guitar parts and like really trebly Stratocaster guitar parts sound heavy, despite the fact that they're not heavy at all.
No, it's
Like, it's really the best and only example you've got.
It's true. I mean, you've got Keith Moon, who was incredible. You've got John Entwistle, who was incredible, and you've got Pete Townsend, who was totally just researching for a book.
Oh, harsh.
Sorry, I could not keep that in.
I'm deeply unhappy about that. Listen to Live at Leeds if you think that Pete Townsend does not belong on the extremely short list of greatest solo guitar players who ever lived.
Oh no, I think he's amazing. I was just making a very off-color joke. So.
I know, and I was trying to move past it.
All right, Tim, any thoughts about grand finale?
Yeah, I mean, so you guys kind of caught it at like grand finale takes a lot of like the themes you've heard earlier in the album and then plays them again, but faster and differently. And like
better.
this is the reason that like I don't know, like this is we just finished 2112. There's like 5 songs left. I don't care about them. 4 songs left. I don't care about them. What I'm going to do, like I'm gonna leave my apartment in like an hour when we're done. I'm gonna take the train up to Manhattan to visit my buddy, and I'm gonna like play side A like twice on the ride. Because when I hear the finale, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, this rules. I want to hear it again. Like it's not my favorite part of like the suite. I think I probably love Syrinx and Presentation the best. Yeah, I really love the heart. I know it's like not a good sound, but I love how scary the Priests are. I think it's like you're thrown into that world right off the bat. Anyway, grand finale works. You get to rediscover the entire album in a way that they did the classic Gambit, right? They foreshadow what's going to happen. They show you what happened, and then they say, hey, this happened. Check it out. Remember this thing? In 20 minutes. Which sounds absurd, but we've spent, I think, about an hour and change talking about this thing. So, clearly,
there's obviously something there.
They're doing it well. And then they put the grand finale, and, you remember how good it was to hear the thing the first time. So, yeah, I'm going to hit back and hear it again. I think, I've listened to 2112 side A, which for me is 2112, in a row. I think my record's like 8 or 9 times, and I don't get tired of it. I don't know, like it's like it's big dumb space opera played virtuosically with just enough gravitas, just enough emotion to like make it kind of like stick in parts where I want to like really bite my teeth into it, and then they close out very well. I don't know, like of course, like the ending is there's the a critical piece of lore that like the vocals at the ending, attention to the residents of the Solar Federation, which is seven words. We've assumed control, which is 4. We'll read it 3 times, 7 times 321, 4 times 321. 2112.
Are you going all numerology on us with
that's
your Russian term?
that's like a straight up like I've scrolled through some Rush fan forums.
I will believe this because this is a band that wrote a piece of music to mimic the Morse code representation of an airport code. So I could see them doing that for real.
I mean, straight up like this entire thing, like it's in no way is it an accident, right? Like Rush is kind of playing around. They're having fun. Like they're closing out. They're like. They're saying, here's like the sound we introduced in the overture, and then play it again in Oracle, and here it is again, and it's fun. I don't know, it's like a very well self-contained thing. I find it super addictive, and I love this album, which has just ended with the end of that song.
Okay, I have a question for both of you. Who is the we in Attention All Planets of the Solar Federation? We have assumed control.
Okay.
That's the best thing.
Check the shit out. It's the Elder Race. They came back for some reason. Yeah, it's not explained why. No one seems to know why, but like it's the good guys, right? Because it was really. I did some research on this album. There was like it could be a bad ending or a happy ending, and Rush forgot to remind us it's a happy ending. Yeah, that's the Elder Race. It's the guys that had the guitar in the first place, being like, "Oh, we're back. A guitar guy died, so now we gotta fucking take care of shit. Here's guitars again."
That's interesting, and is, unlike me, based in research, but I only listen to, the thing itself. So I only know what Rush itself gave me.
Well, you came to the same conclusion I did.
To me,
probably.
It's wildly ambiguous, and you've got to decide for yourself. It could be the Priests cracking down harder than fucking ever. It could be the rebellion, like, somehow, and this would be very Neil Peartishly done if it were done this way, the rebellion actually turning out not to be liberatory but more authoritarian, and thus it's kind of confusing. Or it could be, as you say, Tim, some kind of like third party that we haven't heard shit about, and that actually I really like, because I just want to bookend it, because what I really like about this song is what Tim just mentioned, is it's this kind of closed loop where at the end, whether or not you've really enjoyed it, kind of the only thing that makes sense to do is go back to the beginning and play it again.
Yeah, a man once told me.
It doesn't lead into anything else very well, but it leads back to its own beginning perfectly.
Especially not Passage to Bangkok.
That's a fair point.
I was going to say a man once told me Rush is a flat circle, but now we're way too far past that point.
Somebody once told me.
Oh, no.
The world is going to rush me.
I don't want to be part of this horrible joke. Like, that joke stopped being funny 3 years ago. Let's not perpetuate this anymore. I assume that the we was Rush. And that they had just written themselves into the song again at the last minute. Like, don't worry, guys. Rush has assumed control.
Okay, we went super long on this, so we're going to give you a little treat and cut it off now and come back with side B next time.
And by a little treat, we mean we're going to stop this halfway through, and you can wait, suckers. So thank you for listening to Leave That Thing Alone. If you want to get in touch with us, leavethatthingalone@gmail.com. Send us an email. Say hello.
Do it.
Please, let us know what you think. Especially if you think that we're being giant jerks about Rush. Just kidding. Don't write to us about it.
If you're in Rush, please write to us and tell us how awesome we are and how you would like to come to stately Satellite High Manor and play an acoustic set.
Actual fact, I know that Rush are Mystery Science Theater fans.
Right.
So I feel like if they like Mystery Science Theater, they have to know where we're coming from here.
Right.
It's from a place of love.
Yeah, deep affection.
Yeah.
And deep influence.
But anyway, thank you to everyone at home for listening, and stick around. We'll be back next time with Side B of 2112.
And all of the Leave That Thing Aloneness that you've come to know and love in such a short time.